Although sometimes Bruce knows I get long-winded and they have to cut me off. But I am Madison County historian. I actually have my office in the Madison County Office Building. And I have a lot of different jobs. Up in the southern part of our county, I'm known as Backstreet Mary, because I write for the newspaper as Backstreet Mary. And a lot of people know the articles that I write, and they've appeared in the Post and everything. And then this year, they've thrown another hat in the ring at me, and that is being the director of the Madison County Fair. And I have to give you these words of advice. Don't ever be a fair director. If you think historian is tough, you got to be a fair director sometime. This year we are going to have events within events. We're going to have a main events tent. And the thrust of it is to put the community back together again, and that's why we titled it, Come to the Fair and Find Out What's So Special About Madison County. I've gotten the greatest cooperation by the people who work for you at the county. We have, almost every department will have a display at the fair. We have gotten all the outreach from almost every Madison County group, from Office of the Aged, everybody. And we will have them at the fair. And what we've done is we put different events on different days to try to help boost the turnout and the interest. One of them is Senior Citizens Day. Friday is going to be Senior Citizens Day, and we're actually attempting to bus seniors from down here to the fair. There will be a farmer's market, and that's going to be our egg show day. Saturday is going to be my day, because I found out that in 1856, and this is what I love, everybody says, oh, I can't go to Brookfield, it's too far, they should move it to the center of the county. Well, in 1856, Frederick Douglass, the orator, spoke at the Madison County Fair in Brookfield. And there was a crowd of 12,000 people on the grounds. Now they came by foot, by horseback, and in carriages. So I think we could probably duplicate that if we really work at it using bus and car. So that's my goal. History Day and Youth Day have been put together, and for the occasion, we have gotten a grant through the Gorman Foundation and through the Madison County Historical Society to hire Fred Morsell, who plays Frederick Douglass. And he is coming to the fairgrounds, and he is going to deliver the very speech that Frederick Douglass delivered in 1856. And it was a very controversial speech for all you people that are into politics, because 2 months before the speech, he dumped Garrett Smith for President of the United States, and he put on John C. Fremont. And it became quite a controversial issue. But it wasn't because he was unhappy with Smith. It's just that he thought the great hero, John C. Fremont, had a chance of winning. And that's what he was wanting. He wanted Adams to win president. He was also the only man at that point, black man, that ran for vice president of the United States. Most people don't know that. But anyway, we're going to unveil a historical marker. He is going to come down to the youth tent and talk to the youth who will be assembled there. And I have been lucky enough to meet Joanne Eddy, who is our youth groups coordinator for Madison County, and Tina Lewis, works with 4-H and outreach. And they are going to take the whole tent over, and they have all these different children's groups that are going to come in, and they are going to take the tent and show what's so special about all of Madison County's youth groups, which is really pleasing to me. Sunday, the big tractors rule, and of course we have some antique tractors, and of course Eaton, which is my turf, will be there because they are the home of the very first four-wheel drive traction engine. The first time a man could ride a tractor and pull his toys into the field. And so the toys of yesteryear will be there, and they'll compete with the great big modifies. Thursday, our opening day, we're going to go back to an old-fashioned theme of fireman push ball, and we've added something new, a 5K walk and run, which is going to be part of the Route 20 Challenge. So, I mean, we have something for everybody. I put my website on this particular page so that you can go to my website, and there you will see everything about the fair. There's applications. We wanted a grant so that we can have a focus on fiber fair, and these are very interesting. They have become the thing that a lot of people have gotten into, and it's an old thing, using animal fibers to weave, to spin, and it's an interactive display for the children so they can see how animal fibers, including alpacas and llamas, can be made into clothing, something that we did when we first had the opening up of this area we call Madison County. And so I'm pretty excited. And I hope that I can encourage anybody that would like a display that belongs to a service organization to set up a display. The booths are free, and you'll be judged in our context of what's so special about Madison County. Anybody that would like me to speak to another group, please let me know. I'm free to do that at all times. And I think my favorite story of the fair that I found as historian is about George Keller, and it came back to me on Saturday. I got a phone call from McGraw, and the woman said, I hear you're doing something with the fair this year. And I said, yes, I am. And she said, well, I want you to know my mother, who is 87 years old, still remembers going to the fair. And I said, she does. She says, oh, she said it was the place to be. And the year she went, this couple were married in the lion's cage. While humorously, I had just written the story. And she said, I really wonder who they were. I said, it was Mr. and Mrs. Rogers. She says, you know that? And I said, not only do I know it, but when you come to the fair this year, you'll be parking on their land that they donated to the fairgrounds for parking. Anyway, George Keller has an unbelievable history. He was one of the most famous lion tamers of all times. And if you go onto my website, you'll see stories on him. And he was a man that could put many different species of cat in the same cage. And he had this ending to his act. And it was recorded in, I believe, I think it was the Saturday Evening Post, which is where I got it. Anyway, at the end of his act, whether he married people or not, he'd always put his head in the lion's mouth. The lion would close his mouth with his teeth around his neck, with his head inside it. And then when he tapped the lion would open his mouth, and that's how he ended the show. Well, he almost ended his life once at the Brooklyn
Well, yeah.
Fair. So, he put his head in the lion's mouth, and the lion did not open it when he tapped. And he did it a couple of times, and then he realized what he better do is just lay there. So he did, and he actually suffocated. When he became limp, the lion, which is a cat, did like a mouse. He opened up his mouth, and George fell on the ground. A fireman that was there, volunteer fireman, rushed in, was brave enough to grab him, snatch him, and they started to resuscitate him. That took 3 minutes. They got him back, and when he woke up, he said to the young man, who became a very famous wrestler, by the way. He's in the Wrestling Hall of Fame, and he became a doctor. Very famous man, and that's in the article too. But anyway, when they brought him to, he looked up and he said, all right, go get that cat and bring him into the ring. And everybody just stood there in horror. They brought the cat and they said, why? He says, I've got to do it again. So he did it again, and luckily for him, this time the cat opened his mouth. But his logic was, he said he never did it again. He never did it as a stunt again. But he said if he hadn't made that lion open his mouth, he would have never been able to control him, because the lion would have had the open hand. And I've got to tell you something, that's a man with guts as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, in his off season, he was a professor at the local University of Pennsylvania. And he's a real interesting character, and we have some of his stories up online. So I'll leave you with that. If somebody has a question, I'll be glad to answer it. And if not, I hope I'll see you at the fair, because I think it's going to be a special occasion for everybody. And thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it.